This is Jared from Commit Quality, and in today's video we're going to go over conditionals in C#. Before we start getting into the exciting stuff, actually writing the code and working with conditionals, I want to quickly explain what they are and why they're extremely important. I can guarantee that you're going to be using these a lot, whether you're using if statements, switch statements, ternaries, anything. At the moment, everything we've done has been sequential. Basically, everything executes. But what if we needed to execute different code based on different values, or we need to do something based on a user's condition? That's where these kind of conditionals will come in. Let's add a task to this, and let's say let's start writing some stuff. Let's say our task, we're working on a software testing game where the aim is to find bugs. So what we want to do is we want to say if a user has found a certain amount of bugs, then you're going to get a promotion. If you haven't found an amount, then you might be getting fired. And we'll add more conditions into this to show how we can work around it. So let's do a basic if statement first. So I'm going to say set an integer of bugs found. And let's just set this to 99 just to start it off. And I want to output basically what I just said. So we'll say if, and this is our statement, we're going to say if bugs found, which is our variable we created up here. I'll say if bugs found is greater than, let's just say 40, then let's say console.writeLine, you are getting a promotion. Amazing. But what if we then say, okay, well, if a user finds less than 40 bugs, you should be getting fired. Well, I can use an else statement, and I'll explain this in a second. But I can say else, console.writeLine, you are getting fired. A very blunt game, but how this reads is if this criteria is met, so if bugs found, which we know is 99, is greater than 40, execute this line of code. Else, so anything else, so if it's less than 40, execute, you are getting fired. So we know at the moment bugs found is 99. So if I click continue, you may have guessed it, but we should be saying this output of you are getting a promotion. There we are, perfect. And if we just tweak this now then, so let's say bugs found is 39. We have not met this condition, so this equates to false, which means we should now output you are getting fired. Bring that across, and there we are, you are getting fired. And that's a really basic conditional statement where we're just saying if the value equates to true, output this, else output this. Now, this is a block of code, so let me just put else onto a new line, but this is a block of code, so you can have multiple lines in here. We can say output all these lines, do whatever we want. We can start doing calculations, whatever you want inside the block, and the same would happen to this else. But because we only have a one line here, which is just a simple output, we don't technically need these squiggly brackets. These are only needed if we have multiple lines of code. So what we could say is this, and this would still execute exactly the same because it's only reading the one line. It ends at that semicolon, so it's the end of our statement, and all will work okay. So if I just continue to show you, start executing it, oh no, I'm getting fired. It's because I haven't found enough bugs because I've still got that set. So that's just something to know is you might see some if statements without the squiggly brackets, and that's just because it's a one-line statement. Anything more than one line, you're going to want to add them inside this as the block of code, though. Now, I do want to show you a quick extra tip as well, so let's just comment this out a second. Because if you've got a true or false outcome, typically you can store that into a variable, and I could output it using a ternary operator. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to write string result equals, and we're going to say bugs found greater than 40, so it matches what we've done in this if statement, and I put a question mark, and then I've got my true, colon, and my false. So let me actually fill these out. So the true outcome, we want it to be you were getting a promotion, and our false outcome, we want to say you were getting fired. I just want to copy and paste that here. And of course, end this with a semicolon. So before we actually go any further, let's break this down. We're going to store the outcome into this string variable called result. This can be named whatever you want. Here is our condition. So we're saying, is bugs found? So is 39 greater than 40? No, it's not. But the question mark here is for our ternary operator. And what we're saying is, this is what we should save result as if it's true. If it's false, we should save result as you were getting fired. So in this case, we'd expect, because 39 is not greater than 40, we should see the result stores the string text of you were getting fired. But of course, if I had this as 45, now it's greater than 40, the true outcome, so string result should be saved as you were getting a promotion. So what I can do here is underneath your ternary operator, we can say console.writeLine result, and this should provide us the exact same outcome that this if statement did in a nice one-line ternary. The difference between this is we directly are outputting with console.writeLine, but with a ternary, we have to save this result into something. In this case, we know it's going to be a string, which is why I defined string result. If I click play to execute this, you're getting a promotion. Brilliant. And let's just drop this back down to show you the false outcome. You're getting fired. There we are. So you might see this as well, and this is called a ternary operator, which is just giving us that true or false outcome. Something I thought I'd sneak into this tutorial because it's a really nice way to refactor things, but it's also something you might see out in the wild, and you might be thinking, why have you not talked about this? Awesome. So let's now get rid of that and uncomment this conditional block, because now you might think, well, not everything is so simple. We don't just want to say you're getting a promotion for getting over 40. What if we have use cases in our game where our game says, okay, our threshold is going to be quite high to get a promotion, so we want to say 80. But then if you don't find 80, getting fired is a bit harsh on the user. What if we said we want to add another condition, which was if it's maybe between 40 and 79, then tell the user to keep going, and then only if it's below 40, we'll say you're getting fired. So what we can do is use an else if. We can say else if, and here's our condition. So what do we say? We said bugs found, and I've just realized it says found. So let's say bugs found. We'll say it has to be greater than 40, and now we're going to use our AND operator and say greater than 40 and bugs found should be less than 80. So in this case, we can say we're not going to fire you for finding 79 bugs, but you're still not getting a promotion. And we can say, keep going. You were doing well. Fantastic. So now we have a few different conditions we can check on. We can say, if it's greater than 80, then yep, you deserve a promotion. If it's greater than 40, but less than 80, or I should say greater than 40 and less than 80, output this. Else, which would only leave us with anything under 40, you are getting fired. So 39, we should output this else statement. You are getting fired. If I say 41, we should see this else if that we just added in. Keep going, you are doing well, and anything over 80 means you're getting a promotion, so get ready for your big pay rise. Brilliant. And of course, you can add as many as these else ifs you want. You have to start it with if you want it to be in the same block, and you can add the else in, and then you can have as many else ifs you want inside here. And if you didn't want to do this, if you just in the game just wanted to give promotions and not fire anyone, you can say if bugs found greater than 80, and then you can carry on whatever code. So I could write new code. Hello. And in this case, what it's going to do is if the bugs found is over 80, it'll output this line. If it's not, it's just going to skip this block completely, and it's just going to output hello for us. So we got that single if there, just says do something, but if I don't meet that condition, you don't have to do anything else. So in this case, we should see the two outputs from console.writeLine. And then if I was to put this to 75, which is less than 80, we won't see this actual block of code will not execute and it'll just output hello because we're outside of our condition at that point. So let's undo all of that and put us back to where we are. We'll keep that as 41, it doesn't matter. Now, hopefully that's kind of helped you with understanding conditionals. I don't want to end it just here though, because I want to show you the switch statement as well, because I really like using switch statements. I prefer using them over if blocks when I have a single variable which could have multiple distinct values, and I think it improves code readability. In this case, of course, we do have an else if in here, which makes it a little bit more tricky, but I want to show you how we can convert this if into a switch statement. So there's a few different things going on with it. First of all, we have the keyword of switch. And here is where you're going to pass through what variable you're basing things on. So in our case, it's bugs found. Let's open up our block here. And in here is where you can write your cases. So I'm going to copy these. So case greater than 80 is our first if condition here. And we'll take the console.writeLine. And there is something else we want to add into this, which is called a break. And just to mention what a break is, because you haven't seen it in an if because you've not needed it, but in a switch statement, break is used to exit the switch block and continue with the code after the switch statement. Now let's ignore our else if a moment, and I'm going to add our default. And the default is what happens, is basically our else, is what happens if we don't meet the condition set here or any other cases that we add in. So in here, I just want to say else. I just want to say default. We want to be console.writeLine, you're getting fired, and we want to break on this. So let's say break. Fantastic. So the only thing we've really missed out then is our else if. And there's a reason why I did that, because I wanted to show you the basics of a switch statement before we go into multiple cases involving some operators into it. So if I run the code, we've got 41 here, so we should be put directly into our default. There we are, you're getting fired. If I put it to greater than 80, so 81, execute this, you're getting a promotion. All exactly the same. But now I want to do this else if where it has this operator to say it's got to be greater than 40 and bugs less than 80. How I can do this is by saying case, and I'm going to say an integer because that's what we want to work with, because it's going to return 80, 41, or any number. I'll say int n. You can name n whatever you want. That's just us defining the variable we want to use. And then we'll say when n is greater than 40 and n is less than 80, we want to do what we did up here. So I can say, keep going, you're doing really well. So let's just copy this. And of course, we want to add our break. So now what we said is bugs found is going to be what n is. So that's our case of n. And we're going to say when bugs found is greater than 40 and it's less than 80, we should output this. So we've already done the other cases. So I'm just going to cheat on this one and say 45, because we know that should trigger this case. And what that means then is we exit out of this switch statement with keep going, you were doing well. Wonderful. And just like the else if, you can add multiple cases in as well. So we could say I wanted another case in between here, I could say case, maybe if you have a specific number, so I could say case 1, I'll say console.writeLine, get out, because there's no way you should only have 1. So now, if I said bugs found was 1, it's going to trigger this case specifically, which will be get out. There we are. And you can carry on with things. That's kind of what I want to show you with conditionals. But what I'm going to suggest now is maybe try to take what you've learned from the first few videos and create a program which is going to ask you for your age, and then you can create an if statement or a switch statement. You can create an if or a switch to say if your age is less than a certain number, then get out of the pub. If it's in between a certain number, you can say, okay, you can come in, but you must be with your parents, or else, which means if you're over the threshold, come on, come in, have a pint, all is looking good. And that can start to help you put everything we learn in together. If you do try doing that and you have any problems, drop a comment down below and I'll happily help, and maybe the community can help you with the code as well. A like and subscribe is greatly appreciated. I have enabled super thanks on my videos, so if you do want to contribute towards these videos and the running of my website, you can do that. Thank you for watching and have a good day.